Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with another live, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive day. I hope you had a great day. I hope you had a great day overall, man. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. A bombshell has just been dropped on the boxing world, man, and we need to speak about it. Dmitry Bivol vacates his WBC light heavyweight title for the Trilogy with Artur Beterbiev. David Benavidez, the new WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, man. So we about to have some discussions, may possibly even be some debates involved. You know what I'm saying? In terms of whether Dmitry Bivol ducked David Benavidez or not, I can tell that this is a really interesting subject to the boxing world because we already got a few people in the comments talking they talk. Six guy with the first comment of the day, he said it's not a duck. Trilogy with Beterbiev gonna make 100 times more. It's a business move. We all would do what Bivol just did. All right, we definitely gonna talk about it. We definitely gonna talk about it because, you know, just because you say that that's the case doesn't mean that everybody else agrees with it. Big Soldier MX said, man, Bivol rocking with Turki and Benavidez loyal to Al Heyman and Samson. What does that have to do with them fighting each other? Like, who Artur Beterbiev is loyal to who he's loyal to, and Top Rank and Dmitry Bivol's loyal to Matchroom, Turki Alalshikh, whatever the case is, and they still fought each other. So what does that have to do with anything? I don't think who they're loyal to means that they don't have to fight each other, or if it doesn't make sense to fight each other. But anyways, Bivol resume speaks for himself. Duck, nah. So why are we bringing up Dmitry Bivol's resume? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about whether David Benavidez duck Dmitry. If Dmitry Bivol ducked David Benavidez or not. We're not bringing up resumes. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people do whenever, we say Canelo was ducking Benavidez. Oh, look at his resume. His resume speaks for itself. Okay, he could fight 999 great fighters. But that 1,000 fighter, he ducked. So that's what we're going to talk about. Question is, who is David Benavidez going to fight? Most of 175 no money fights. Now, that's something that I could definitely see and understand. But what I'm going to say is, I can tell we're going to get cooking off the rip. It is what it is. But David Benavidez, I had made a video earlier. And I was talking about how, this whole situation happened and why this situation may have happened the way it turned out and things of that nature. But I was speaking from a perspective in which David Benavidez was going to fight for the vacant title, because that was the only news that had came out, at the time that I had made my video. But as more information came out and Mauricio Suleiman came out with his tweets or whatever the case is, he said that David Benavidez has been moved up to full status champion. So I'm like, damn, now I got to scrap this whole video. I didn't have enough time to make another video. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to just chop it up with y'all once we get on the live. You feel what I'm saying? But shout out to Big Soldier MX. He said, only real duck is Canelo Cinnamon. He definitely a duck, brother. Thierry Scott says, out of all the passes that the WBC gave fighters, but all of a sudden he forces Bivol to make an abrupt decision. Seems like a personal thing against Turki. Now, that's something that I definitely agree with, Thierry Scott. Y'all got to understand, there's a lot of tension between Turki Alalshikh and the WBC, man. Ever since Turki Alalshikh has came into the picture, especially, more recently since he created this fight league with Dana White, and a couple other businessmen, there's been a little bit of tension between the two. I think Mauricio found it very disrespectful that Turki Alalshikh was just looking to get, one belt to represent the whole boxing world, and he pretty much saying fuck the major titles and stuff like that. And with the history that the WBC has, regardless of how corrupt they may be and what the shit that we may say about them, they definitely hold a place in boxing. So Mauricio took it upon himself to, shoot shots back at Turki Alalshikh. I think when he seen Turki Alalshikh tell Canelo to not hold them belts up on stage, I think he took real big offense to that. And he was like, all right, now I'm about to show you my power. You see what I'm saying? Like, you out here, you flexing all this money. You got a lot of people attention and you making a lot of big fights, but you're not the only one who hold weight in this boxing game. So I think that, in all honesty, Turki Alalshikh went out of his way to, do a little flex on Turki Alalshikh or whoever Turki Alalshikh was involved with, and was like, all right, we're going to mandate this fight between Dmitry Bivol and David Benavidez, because Turki Alalshikh has said, a little bit after he announced the fight league, that he wasn't going to pay for Benavidez and Dmitry Bivol, and even gave Dmitry Bivol an ultimatum like, yo, listen, man, I'm the one that put the bread in your pockets. I'm the one that's been taking care of you, putting you in prestigious situations to become undisputed and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I scratched your back. Now it's time to scratch mine. And what Turki Alalshikh means by that is don't go over there and defend that title against David Benavidez. We keep the money between ourselves like we've been doing. And let's get this trilogy popping with Artur Beterbiev. You know what I mean? So pretty much saying, fuck what the WBC talking about. Follow my lead because I'm the one that put you in position to be getting these crazy checks. And I told you guys that I was really looking forward to seeing what move Dmitry Bivol was going to make next, because it was either going to be he was going to stick by Turki Alalshikh and go ahead and take on the fight with Artur Beterbiev in the trilogy, which the first two fights was amazing fights. You see what I'm saying? I can't really complain about that. But then there was the other one where it was like, all right, or you could stab me in the back, try to maintain your undisputed status and go ahead and fight David Benavidez, which he's strictly been against since the WBC has been rumored to order the fight, or pretty much ever since David Benavidez defeated David Morrell and became the WBC interim champion. You feel what I'm saying? I think they seen it coming from a distance. They was like, all right, we're going to cut this shit short. We're going to get this shit up out the way before this even becomes a reality. And I knew that was I was surprised that the WBC was so hell-bound ordering this fight between Dmitry Bivol and David Benavidez, because when, you know, Canelo Alvarez was the WBC champion at 168 pounds, and David Benavidez was the mandatory, the WBC did very little to look out for David Benavidez. They did very little to really force Canelo's hand to either vacate the title or fight David Benavidez. You feel what I'm saying? So now you want to do it at 175 pounds when historically you guys have not been the biggest fan of Dmitry Bivol, if we being honest. You see what I'm saying? Like I could recall, and shout out to the group chat for reminding me of this, because this definitely slipped my mind. I remember when the WBC was against Dmitry Bivol fighting for the WBC world title, not because, you know, he wasn't capable or he wasn't good enough, right? But because of the war that was going on between Russia and Ukraine. And I was one of the people that was highly critical of the WBC based off of that. I thought that was hella discriminatory, if I said that word right. They was definitely discriminating against Dmitry Bivol. And it's not like Dmitry Bivol was the cause for this fucking Russia and Ukraine war. So what the fuck are we really talking about? And at the same time, from what I heard, you know, shit, Artur Beterbiev was a Russian man as well, and he was holding the strap at the time. So how stupid do y'all sound? Oh, he got a Canadian citizenship. Okay. So the fuck what? That doesn't disregard the fact that man is a Russian man or came from Russia. So because he got a Canadian citizenship and he trains in Canada, he's the exception. So what the fuck? If Dmitry Bivol got his American citizenship and was training out in Cali, would y'all look at him as an American man? No, y'all wouldn't. Y'all would still regard him as a Russian man. So let's cut the bullshit. And I was one of the people that was holding the WBC accountable for the nut shit that they was doing. So when you look back at the history and you see all the bullshit that had been going on between, you know, Turki Alalshikh, Dmitry Bivol, and the WBC, it kind of makes sense as to why Dmitry Bivol made the move that he made. Now, when we look at if we look at the definition of ducking, because I'm telling you guys that I'm understanding of why Dmitry Bivol made the move that he made, and I'm not. This ain't about to be you know, I had to think about it a little bit, because when I first got the news, I'm like, damn, like I was really like tempted to say, man, this motherfucker Dmitry Bivol really ducked Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't believe he just did this shit. Like what the fuck? Like you about to really fight? You done fought Beterbiev 2 times. Why the fuck you got to fight him again? Type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what was going through my head. But then when I really thought about the situation, I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? It's starting to make a little bit of sense why Dmitry Bivol did what he did. You know what I'm saying? He happens to be fucking with some people that's not on the best terms with the WBC right now. And I understand Turki Alalshikh went back on his word and was talking about how, you know, at first they said they was going to destroy promoters and, you know, they only wanted one belt and all this bullshit. But then they backtracked their words after they faced a little bit of backlash from the boxing world. It said that they weren't looking to, you know, pretty much did a whole 180. You know what I mean? Went back on their word and said, all right, man, we're not looking to destroy any promoters. We're looking to work with promoters. We're looking to work with these, you know, sanctioning bodies and stuff like that. You feel what I'm saying? And, you know, they try to clean that shit up. But regardless, the WBC knows that they're full of shit. So there's still a tension between the two. You feel what I'm saying? That's just my personal opinion. I could be right. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But yeah, I still think there's a little bit of animosity between the two. And I think it's showing in this situation right here. And I feel bad for David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? Because when you really look over his career, you know, he's been fighting top tier guys, but he hasn't been able to get that big fight in front of him. You know what I'm saying? At 168 pounds, all right, he beat a Darrell. All right, he beat a Caleb Plant. All right, he beat a Dmitry Andre. You know what I'm saying? Like, he beat solid guys at 168, but he didn't beat the guy, because that guy at that moment, and is still currently the man at 168, Canelo Alvarez would not look his way and did everything in his power to discredit the man and not give him an opportunity. He still does it to this day. Now Canelo out here talking about Benavidez too big, and now he's in a different weight class. But you fought Dmitry Bivol and Sergey Kovalev at 175. We ain't trying to hear this shit, right? Safe to say. Now, he's at 175 pounds now. He beats a former world champion, and Alexander Volzdik beats him. And when he faced all the adversity, he faced cuts, you know, injuries and stuff like that. Then he goes and takes on a guy that a lot of people, he said he's too disrespectful, Mark. Yeah, that's what Canelo said about Benavidez, but you know he's full of shit. You know what I'm saying? We've seen plenty of people disrespect Canelo, and Canelo wouldn't even look his motherfucking way. I mean, no, there's been plenty of people that disrespected Canelo, but Canelo still gave them opportunity. So y'all can miss me with the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But you already know this, Coffee. I know you trolling and shit. But he beats Alexander Volzdik. Then he goes and he fights a guy that people were saying that he was ducking since 168 pounds. Morrell done followed him up to 175 because he wasn't getting opportunities just like Benavidez wasn't. So they went and they fought each other. Benavidez he showcases a lot of heart. He gets rocked in the fight, but he still does what he needs to do to defeat David Morrell, who's very dangerous and may very well become a world champion later down the line. You see what I'm saying? But he fights them two guys, and then he's in position. He's finally in a position where it looks like he's about to get an opportunity, but unfortunately, you know, the people that are working with Dmitry Bivol or happen to be around Dmitry Bivol are not giving the man a shot. They don't want to look in his direction. They feel like the Artur Beterbiev trilogy is much more important than the David Benavidez fight. Now, my personal opinion, I might be a little biased. And the reason why I say that is because y'all know David Benavidez is one of my favorite fighters. I want to see the man get his opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I want to see this man go and really prove himself and really test himself against the elite guys. Because like I said, he's beat solid guys. But he hasn't beat the guy. He's accomplished some good things. He's become a multi-time world champion. Now he's a 3-time world champion now, 3-time world champion in 2 different divisions. But man, he hasn't beat the man yet. He just ran into a series of obstacles that have prevented him from doing so. And David Benavidez, he's a popular fighter. He's an exciting fighter. He has a solid fan base and stuff like that. But he's definitely been falling victim to the politics of boxing, unfortunately. And that seems to happen to a lot of guys who are threats to, you know, these guys, to the guys that are champions. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Beth Annual, shout out to Beth Annual, says, I found it very weird. People were saying he was ducking Morrell of all people. A green, inexperienced pro fighter. I'm glad Benavidez whooped him. Look, man, I said the same thing. I was posing a lot of questions that a lot of people seem to be ignoring at the time. I was like, damn, who did David Morrell beat to deserve an opportunity at Benavidez? Because y'all go around saying that Benavidez ain't beat nobody to fight Canelo. So who the fuck did Morrell beat to fight David Benavidez? You know, he's a green fighter. Why are y'all so confident of him? And then I started to notice when people were talking that this was really about the eye test, what they saw, you know, when watching Morrell fight unnotable names that weren't recognized, you know, amongst the elites. You feel what I'm saying? And come to find out, I feel like David Benavidez's experience is what got him through that fight against David Morrell. And David Morrell's inexperience plagued his performance on that night against Benavidez. I think that was safe to say. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Agent 86, he said, but yeah, the WBC was going to strip Bivol anyway, so he probably thought it would be better to vacate. Yeah, it's almost like, and that's very true. You know what I'm saying? The WBC was pretty much looking for, you could really say the WBC was looking for a reason to fuck with Bivol or take that world title up off his hands, whether it was, you know, by stripping him or just hoping and praying that Benavidez beat him. You know what I'm saying? I just think that they would much rather have David Benavidez be their champion in comparison to Dmitry Bivol, considering the history that's between the two. You know what I'm saying? And also who Dmitry Bivol is involved with. I don't think the WBC is too fond of Turki Alalshikh and how the way he's been moving. You know what I mean? Trying to jeopardize, you know, they spot in the business. You feel what I'm saying? So, you know, I just think that I think Bivol's going to have a hard time, you know, maintaining a relationship with the WBC moving forward in his career. Just my personal opinion. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, when you look at the definition of ducking, it's hard to say that although we're understanding of Dmitry Bivol's choices and him still being in a fight with a top light heavyweight and Artur Beterbiev, when you really look over the situation and what happened, if we keep it simple, technically Dmitry Bivol did duck David Benavidez. If you are a champion, with becoming a champion comes responsibility. And when William Skull became the champion, I mean, when Canelo got stripped for not facing William Skull, we wasn't really too mad at it. Why? Because we didn't want to fucking see Canelo Alvarez fight William Skull, right? But at the same time, with Canelo choosing to vacate his title to avoid fighting William Skull, technically that's a duck. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I said that on my channel. It's a duck, but I'm not really mad at it because I didn't want to see him fight the motherfucker anyway. This right here is a little bit different. You see what I'm saying? I wanted to see David Benavidez fight Dmitry Bivol. I feel like at this, in my personal opinion, I want to see Benavidez fight Bivol more than the trilogy with Artur Beterbiev. We've seen the motherfuckers fight twice already. We know they're exciting styles whenever they get into the ring together. They had some action-packed moments, some memorable fights. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? I want to see Dmitry Bivol go up in there with somebody who has a different style that brings something different to the table so he can have something else to figure out. I also want to see how David Benavidez does against the #1 guy in his fucking weight class because David Benavidez has never been given that opportunity before. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's people, look, there's going to be people that split on the situation. Me personally, I'm not going to sit here and this ain't going to be a shitting on Dmitry Bivol show. We're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, you know what I mean? It might make a lot of sense for Dmitry Bivol to take this situation. Maybe Turki Alalshikh, you know, threw up a couple more dollars like, yo, you know what, man, to vacate that title, I'm going to give you a couple more dollars. And, you know what I'm saying? We're going to make this shit happen with this trilogy. Because that's what, you know, that's who Artur Beterbiev is somebody that Turki Alalshikh is looking after in comparison to David Benavidez. David Benavidez is what you would say is across the street, right? He hasn't done business with Turki Alalshikh. They doing their own thing. They with PBC. You know what I mean? They with Samson Lukowicz, Luis de Cubas, whoever the fuck. You see what I'm saying? So they're on a totally different type of time. They doing business with totally different people. So Turki Alalshikh probably feels more loyal to giving Artur Beterbiev an opportunity in comparison to David Benavidez. And when you were the one fronting the bread, you're the one who putting the money up for these fights, you have the ultimate say so, you know what I'm saying, on who's fighting who. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, this ain't a Dmitry Bivol, you know, shitting on him show or anything like that. The Artur Beterbiev is still a great fight, man. But at the same time, if you vacating a title to not fight a significant person, to go ahead and choose another fight, a fight that you already been through twice, it's hard for me to not say that you didn't duck the man. You ducked the man, but I'm not gonna sit here and treat you like how the way we treated Canelo, because Canelo had no big options, besides David Benavidez at 168. And what did he do? Went and fought Jaime Munguia, who's not on David Benavidez level, you know, skill-wise or resume-wise. Went and you fought Edgar Berlanga, you know what I'm saying, who's not on David Benavidez level resume or skill-wise. I think we could all say that. You know what I'm saying? And he gave them dudes an opportunity when they weren't as worthy as David Benavidez. So yeah, he's the almighty duck for that. You see what I'm saying? But Dmitry Bivol, on the other hand, it's not like Dmitry Bivol vacated his belt so he could go ahead and fight, let's say, a Callum Smith. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he went and he downgraded an opponent. No, he's still fighting, arguably, shit. Because I seen some people say they thought Beterbiev won the second fight. I heard some people say that. You see what I'm saying? So arguably the best light heavyweight in the division at Artur Beterbiev. They 1-1 right now. So look, they looking to do a tiebreaker. All right, cool. I'm not gonna hold this shit over your head. But I do feel bad for David Benavidez. Maybe that's just me being biased. I don't know how y'all feel in the chat. You know what I'm saying? But it sucks to see Benavidez, really going on this mission and looking for that big opportunity. But when it seems like it's very close to happening, it just gets taken away from him. You know what I'm saying? So, let me see. But, I'm also happy that David Benavidez got this world title. Let's actually get into David Benavidez's statement right here. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm going to actually read over what the WBC has said. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more, man. We 22 minutes into the live, and we got 20 people in the building. If we could get 20 likes, that'd be very much appreciated. You feel what I'm saying? Let's get the likes up. Let's get the likes up. So this is David Benavidez's statement on this situation. Benavidez 300 on Instagram. He says, just got the news that Bivol decided to vacate his title instead of fighting me. So it sounds, based off of that statement alone, it's obvious that David Benavidez feels like he was ducked by Dmitry Bivol in this situation. Now that makes me the WBC world champion at light heavyweight. Now this is very important as well. Because he goes on to say, this is not the ideal way for me to become world champion, but nevertheless, I am now the WBC light heavyweight champion of the world, and I intend on putting the best fights. You know what I'm saying? Well, what do you mean by that, Bethaniel? Let me see this question. Do you think the WBC will strip Benavidez as soon as possible or something? What do you mean by that? Strip him for what? You're saying when... I don't know. You gotta be a little bit more specific with that question. But that's David Benavidez's statement right there. You know what I'm saying? He said that this not, and he feels exactly how the way Jaron Ennis feels. When the IBF just gave Jaron Ennis the belt, he wasn't really too pleased with that. He accepted the belt. He appreciated them handing him the belt, but that wasn't the way that he wanted to go out, which is why he's so motivated for the Stanionis fight, because this is going to be his first opportunity to take a belt off of a champion. You know what I'm saying? I can imagine that David Benavidez is in a similar seat. He's in a similar situation as to where, I'm happy that y'all guys gave me the opportunity. I'm happy that y'all gave me this belt, but I don't feel vindicated as a champion. You know what I'm saying? So, look, if y'all in that situation, y'all looking for an opportunity for the biggest fights. You a professional fighter. You David Benavidez. Let's say you David Benavidez, and you hoping and praying that Dmitry Bivol gives you an opportunity after he beats Beterbiev. But the trilogy comes around, which I even heard David Benavidez say that they might fight each other. They might do a trilogy and stuff like that. So he was already anticipating this. So, but then they stripped. Well, they didn't strip him. Dmitry Bivol vacates the title, they hand you the title, and it's like, damn, but I wanted to take it off of him to really prove myself, because David Benavidez isn't one of those dudes that's strictly driven off of money. He's not a mercenary, as you would say. This is somebody who's also driven by legacy and wanting the respect, from the boxing world. You know what I'm saying? Which is why, he's been moving the way he's been moving. Like I said, if he was driven by money and, was really worried about, like, high risk and all that stuff, he would have never looked in Morrell's direction. But he chose to anyway, because he heard that's what the fight fans wanted. You see what I'm saying? So it's tough, bro. It's tough. You know what I'm saying? But hopefully, You know what I mean? As a boxing fan, you know, after they get this trilogy out of the way, the winner faces David Benavidez. I really hope that fight happens. I don't see why Turki Alalshikh wouldn't consider that after the fact, because to keep it real, after Bivol and Beterbiev are done with each other, there's no bigger fight in the division. You know what I'm saying? And I hope it's not a situation where Turki Alalshikh convinces or attempts to convince Bivol or Beterbiev to move up the cruiserweight and fight Jai Opatai or some shit like that. Bro, we don't want to see that shit, man. We don't want to see Bivol move up in weight. We don't even want to see Beterbiev move up in weight. You know what I'm saying? David Benavidez is the biggest fight for both of those guys. If either one of whichever one comes out victorious, David Benavidez is the biggest fight for either one of them, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? But then again, you know, Canelo Benavidez was the biggest fight in super middleweight, possibly the biggest fight in the entire sport of boxing at the time. And Canelo still looked the other way. So who fucking knows? Let me see. Black Caesar, what up? He said, yo, what's good, Mazuma? Do you think Bivol will still be the same fighter after another 12 rounds with Beterbiev? That's a great fucking question, because that video that I made earlier, for those of y'all who just checking in, I made a video earlier about the situation, but I didn't have all the information because at the time that the video was made, I was under the impression that the belt was vacant and Benavidez was going to fight for the vacant title. So I was going through like guys in the rankings that he may possibly face, but come to find out, they just handed him the belt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm hearing all this email champion shit. Email champions wouldn't exist if champions fought their mandatories. Let's just say that. So let's not hold motherfuckers or let's not criticize motherfuckers for receiving the belt. They wanted to fight for it just like anybody else. But if they handed the belt, you know, it is what it is. They're in a power position, and now they could go, you know, fight other great competition and prove their worth as a champion in the division. You feel what I'm saying? But what I was saying in that video that I did not put out is that this may benefit David Benavidez. And the reason why I say this may benefit David Benavidez is because David Benavidez is a young champion in boxing right now that has not taken much punishment. You see what I'm saying? He hasn't been, you know, a lot of people say that it's a con that Benavidez hasn't been in the ring with like those high caliber guys, but at the same time, it might, the pro in it may be he's reserved. You know, he doesn't have punishment. He doesn't have wear and tear on his body. He's not aging in comparison to, well, obviously everybody's aging, but I'm saying aging in terms of like, you know, father time catching up to him. At this point in time, David Benavidez is at, you know, is pretty much in his prime. You know what I'm saying? So Dmitry, Bivol, and Beterbiev, they done punched on each other for 2 fucking fights already. And I say this all the time. Every time you step out of the ring, you leave less and less of yourself. You feel what I mean? So with David Benavidez being young and reserved and not really having no damage or taking any damage in the ring, I think it benefits him to watch Bivol and Beterbiev beat the shit out of each other, because the less of themselves they are going into the fight with Benavidez, the more it benefits him. Let's say Bivol is at 85% right now. Let's just look at it like a health bar, you know, like them Johns that be on Mortal Kombat and all that shit. You know, when you get hit, your health bar just lowers a little bit. Let's say Bivol at this point in his career is at 85% right now. That third fight, Beterbiev might hit him with some shit that may affect him or may take something out of him. And he may come into that fight with Beterbiev, with Benavidez, if they, you know, choose to fight him after the trilogy, may come out 78%. If I'm Benavidez, I will feel like I was in a better position to win if I'm going up against 78% Bivol in comparison to 85% Bivol. And the opposite, you know, with Beterbiev is already 40 years old. Beterbiev is already 40 years old. So Father Time is already on his ass. You feel me? Now, with these 2 fights, he's been taking some punishment from Bivol as well. So along with the age, him being in his 40s, he's also taking punishment, which is aging him faster. So let's say Beterbiev somehow, some way, he beats Bivol in the third fight, because that's possible. Both fights were close. You're going to wait a few months while that window is closing even more and go up against a young, youthful, fresh Benavidez. Benavidez has the advantage in that aspect. Let me see. Anonymous says, but I don't know, Mark, because Bivol never really took damage until the Beterbiev fights. He's always been the one of the most defensive fighters in the sport. That's very true, but how many fights does it take to necessarily damage a fighter? One. That's all it takes. Now, I'm not saying Bivol is damaged at this point. You know what I'm saying? But who knows how this trilogy going to go? You know what I'm saying? I already done seen a couple shots Beterbiev hit Bivol with that Bivol looked kind of discouraged or looked a little rocked or, you know what I'm saying, looked like he had to get his bearings back a little bit. All it takes is one fight. You could be fresh your entire career and then go into your 30th fight, your 35th fight, you know, whatever, your 20th fight and take a whole lot of damage and you are no longer the same. You know what I'm saying? So I completely understand what you're saying. You know, Bivol has always been defensively sound. You know what I'm saying? I love the in and out movement, his understanding of distance real well. Them dudes be having trouble touching him. But, you know what I'm saying? These three fights, and you know, these training camps are pretty close together too. So we're not even taking into consideration the sparring and, you know, the training, all the little bit of rest in between. Like how far apart was the rematch, the first fight and the rematch between Bivol and Beterbiev? They weren't that far apart, man. They were not that far apart. So that's a lot of wear and tear. You know, those training camps where you're getting very little rest in between, that could pile up as well. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm David Benavidez, shit, I'm gonna let them punch on each other. Yeah. I'm gonna sit back and watch y'all punch on each other. And then I'll get the winner because y'all not gonna come into this fight with me. You know, as fresh as y'all came into the fight with each other, y'all gonna have a little bit of damage on y'all. 4 months. Now take this into consideration, Coffee. A training camp is a world-class training camp is at least 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So what they only after that tough 12 rounds they both took, what they took probably a month and a half, 2 months off. Then they went and they went straight into camp again. I mean, I don't know. That might be enough time to rest. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Well, you know, fucking Beterbiev, for real, he's accustomed to being inactive, and now you just throwing him back in the mix, and that could really go against him. Who knows? Alda Powell says, nah, Bivol got damaged if the amateur stuff does it. Bro, listen. These dudes be burning out when they're 34, 35 because they've been boxing since they was 8 years old. So you talking about all the training camps they did in their amateurs, all the fights they did in their amateurs. How many fights? Bivol had well over 100 fights in the amateurs. And, you know, I'm sure he took some damage in those training camps going into them amateur fights. He took damage in those fights in the amateurs. Now you're going into the pros, and you had some clean shit going on in the pros. But, I mean, now you're starting to get hit. Now you're getting hit by one of the hardest punches in the division. 3 fights in a row. You going up and you're going into 3 straight training camps. And I'm assuming all your sparring partners are strong like Beterbiev, so you taking damage in there as well. There's a lot of shit you got to take into consideration. To be honest, them older fighters typically only fight like once a year anyway. That's true. Dangerous Desire Bullies, what up? What's going on? We just talking about the Dmitry Bivol situation. You know what I mean? He vacated his WBC title a day before, 24 hours before the purse bid was going to take place between him and David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? He bowed out. He decided to stick with Turki Alalshikh, stay loyal to Turkey, and follow through with that trilogy with Artur Beterbiev. You know what I'm saying? And in reality, dog, since we on it, we don't got we gotta blame Turkey for this. Like, if you guys were strong advocates for David Benavidez versus Dmitry Bivol being next, you could thank Turki Alalshikh for this fight not manifesting. You know what I'm saying? Turki Alalshikh is the main reason why this fight did not happen. As soon as Turki Alalshikh publicly came out with that ultimatum and was like, yo, man, you know what I mean? You know who's done good for you for your career. You know what I mean? Choose wisely. Don't make a dumb choice because, you know, minds change every day. This is shit that he did say. He put Dmitry Bivol in a tough situation because maybe he was considering fighting Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? But then after Turkey said that, he was like, damn. You know what I mean? Like Martin Bacoli, he didn't want to disappoint Turkey, so he went ahead and did what he told him to do. That money a motherfucker, ain't it? Black Caesar says, will there be a stain on the win if Benavidez beats up on a shot Bivol or Beterbiev? I'm not gonna. You know why it ain't gonna be no stain on his win? Because they chose not to fight him after the rematch. You know, let's say Bivol wins again in the trilogy, and then he goes and he's not the same. He's a shell of himself against David Benavidez. He don't got nobody to blame but himself and Turki Alalshikh for not fighting David Benavidez when they were in the best position to do so. I'm gonna give him credit. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give him credit. You feel me? Because, you know, whoever wins that fight, they're going to be unified champion of the light heavyweight division. If Benavidez beats them and becomes undisputed, you got to give him his credit. He had one belt going into the fight. They had 3 belts going into the fight. They were unified champions. Benavidez wasn't. He beat them, became undisputed. You got to give him his props for that. But like I said, I really hope it's not a situation where, you know, Turki Alalshikh butts in like he just did with this fight right here and convinces him to go up to cruiserweight to fight Jai Opetaia, because, you know, Turkey loved Jai. Turkey loved Jai. Yeah, Coffee, you already know how that go, bro. Out at the pouch said Bivol was in a messed up spot, though. Never bite the hand that feeds you. Turkey helped him more and fed him more than Suleiman. Turkey did more for Bivol than Suleiman, but still wanted that fight. Hey, man. Oh, listen, I'm understanding the Bivol situation. Like I said, this ain't me raining on, me talking shit about Bivol. Bro, I'm understanding where he's coming from. And in reality, the WBC don't never put money in fighters' pockets. If anything, they take money out of fighters' pockets. Am I right? Now, their title could give you some recognition, give you more, you know, power at the negotiation table and shit like that. We're not disputing that. But in terms of them putting the check in your pocket, they're not doing that. They're taking money out of your pocket. They're taking that 1%, 2%, 3% out of your purse and going about their business. You feel me? Turki Alalshikh, on the other hand, is giving motherfuckers basically blank checks. You good? Did you find 21? What the fuck? We building this motherfucking table right now, bro. And one of the pieces we looking for just fucking disappeared out of nowhere. So we're trying to figure out where the fuck this shit is at so we could go ahead and do what we do. But I don't know, man. We're gonna have to find it. As soon as I get off here, we're gonna get right back to work. But Turki Alalshikh is basically giving yo, they said Simba took it. That's funny as shit. he was really all up on the boxes and everything too, so he probably did. That fucking newsy motherfucker. But nah, back to the topic though, because, you know, I got people in my comments saying, man, you need to stick to the topic, man. Man, if you were more professional, your channel would blow. Shut the fuck up. But anyways, like I was saying, them sanctioning bodies, they don't do nothing but take money out your pockets at the end of the day. That's why a lot of these fighters are starting to stand up against these organizations and really ask what they do for them. You know what I'm saying? When Earl Spence took that he took that microphone after the Bud fight. He was like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with these belts? Like, what do they really do for us? What are they doing with the money that we giving them? Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. You know, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Like, are you gonna rock with the nigga who done put you in a position to provide for you and your family? Or are you gonna side with the motherfuckers who don't do nothing really but take money out of your pockets and done discriminate against you in the past and treated you like shit because your country was at war with another country that you had nothing to do with? It's understandable, man. The more I think about it, the more it makes sense. Ralphie Ray Goza, what up? Ralphie says, I don't think Bivol is a duck, and I say that because he has unfinished business with Beterbiev. Unfortunately, Turkey and the people managing Beterbiev, unfortunately, Turkey and the people managing Bivol want that trilogy more. I see what you're saying, brother. It's a good conversation. You know what I'm saying? It's a good conversation because, you know, you can make a strong case for why, you know, Bivol should be fighting David Benavidez next. Like I said, you know, there's people on here that believe Beterbiev won the fight twice. Why would they want to see? But the reality is 1-1. There's some people out here that genuinely believe that Bivol won both times. So why would they want to see a trilogy? They rather see him go in there with a different type of style, a different type of opponent who's hungry on the come up in his prime, who's beaten, you know, another top contender and earned his shot at the WBC. You know what I'm saying? It's a good conversation. It's a good conversation. Yep. Ralph says, I low-key feel bad for David. You left another weight class just to be in the same situation in another one. Yeah, and that's the whole reason why he left 68, to, you know, find better opportunities. And it seemed like Benavidez was optimistic initially. He was like, man, yeah, man, I'm going to just move up. You know what I mean? I'm going to beat whoever I got to beat, you know, and fight the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol. You know what I'm saying? And we going to do this. We going to do it. It sounded like he had his shit all lined up. He was so optimistic when Turki Alalshikh invited him out to the fights. And, you know, it seemed like everything was on the up. And then all of a sudden, that man Turki was like, nah, we ain't doing it. You with them WBC niggas? Nah, I'd rather do this. Nah, I ain't putting no money up for that. I want to see the trilogy. Nah. Shit suck, man. Black Caesar said, how you feel about Benavidez versus Callum Smith fight? Too soon for the Morrell rematch, in my opinion. Well, this is the problem, dog. And I'm going to actually pull this up for y'all to see, because now that David Benavidez is the WBC champion of the world, let's take a look at the WBC rankings, man. I always check them here and there just to see what's going on. Let's see what's up. Let's check these rankings, because I don't think they're going to change much. I think the only thing that's going to change is that Benavidez is now the champion. So let's look at light heavy. It's still showing Dmitry Bivol's the champion. David Benavidez, WBC interim champion. But then when you look at the ratings, Artur Beterbiev is number one. Right? Artur Beterbiev is out of the picture for Benavidez as of right now, because they following through with the trilogy with Bivol. Cool. David Morrell is number two. Let me see. Let me actually share this so y'all can see. All right. So let's take a look right here. Y'all see it right here. Artur Beterbiev, number one. He's occupied with Bivol. David Morrell, he just beat David Morrell in his last fight. Why would he even look in that direction? He clearly won, in my opinion. Albert Ramirez, I'm not familiar with him. Alexander Vozdik, he beat him already. The fight before Morrell, he beat him already. Joshua Buatsi, Connor Wallace, Willie Hutchison, Anthony Yard, Imam Katiev, I believe that's his name. Robin Krasnicki, Richard Rivera, Ben Whitaker. So this is crazy, bro. This is crazy. And we don't got a Callum Smith in sight. We don't have a Callum Smith in sight. So what does that tell you? Now, how I personally feel about the fight, I like that fight. I hope they make that shit happen. Hopefully, I mean, but if he does a voluntary defense, like, he could basically fight anybody. But you know, I'm with it. I like the fight for the time being. If he wants to stay busy and continue his process of acclimating to the weight class, he can. What's confusing to me is that Buatsi's on the WBC rankings. Callum Smith is not. He just defeated Buatsi in his last fight. So how the fuck that work? Oh, okay, because he's the interim champ. Man, bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, man, if I had to change one thing, bro, I swear I would make other champions mandatories, bro. Or just because you got an interim title don't mean you can't be ranked in another belt organization's, rankings. You feel me? Al the Pal says, damn if I do, damn if I don't with David. Damn if he stay at 68, damn if he move to 75. That's how it's looking right now, but maybe we talking too soon. I hope I'm talking too soon and that, after this trilogy, they could get it popping. You know what I'm saying? I really hope that's the situation. T says, salute to the mob. Salute to you, brother. Thank you for coming through and showing love. We got 26 people in the building. Let's hit the likes, y'all. Let's hit the likes. You know what I'm saying? I had a few people buy some of that vitamin energy today. I'm highly appreciative of that. You know what I'm saying? They buying and for those of y'all who don't know, the whole website, whatever you buy off of the website, when you use my promo code, gives you the discount that you need. You feel what I'm saying? So if it's a $30 case, use Mazuma TV. It takes $6 off. You getting 12 bottles for $24. That's $2 a bottle, y'all. Come on, man. Let's get it popping. VitaminEnergy.com/Mazuma TV. When y'all check out, use the promo code Mazuma TV to get $6 off of your order. Let's show the people, the nation, the mob. Let's show Vitamin Energy what we made of, man. I'm highly appreciative of everybody that's been coming through and showing love. You feel me? You think Benavidez drops the WBA belt? It might possibly become vacant because if he's the full status WBC champion right now, why would he hold on to the WBA interim? I don't know. Maybe he'll keep it though. You know what I mean? We seen Benavidez flashing the WBC interim titles like they were real titles, so he might do the same shit with that WBA title. You know what I mean? Yeah. If I'm David Benavidez and WBC's like, yo, man, he just got the belt, go ahead and get you a voluntary defense in, I'm looking right at Callum Smith. It's the, outside of Bivol and Beterbiev, bro, that's probably the best fight that he can make in the division. You already done got rid of the young boogeyman and Morrell. You beat a former world champion in Vosdick. Callum Smith made a good showing of himself against Buatsi. Buatsi, tough as nails. Callum Smith figured it out, though, got the decision. It was one of the best fights of the night. That'll be a good fight. Callum Smith got some good power. I love his left hook. I like how he shoot his hook to the body. I like his left hook in general. You know what I'm saying? So he a definite threat. And Benavidez said himself, these guys are bigger, they stronger, they punch harder. So it'll be a new test for him, a new obstacle for him to overcome. And I think the longer that he stays at the weight, the sharper he'll be, the stronger he'll get. You know what I'm saying? So why not? Callum Smith will be a good test for Benavidez. And it'll only make him a more dangerous fighter. It'll only make him a more dangerous fighter if he keeps fighting these elite level guys in his division. Wasn't they supposed to fight each other back in 168 at one point? I remember that because I remember at one point he was talking about possibly facing Callum Smith because Callum Smith, he was a world champion at 168. You feel what I'm saying? What belt did Callum Smith have, y'all? Canelo took that belt. I know he took the IBF off of Caleb. He took the WBO off Billy, I think. He took the WBO off Billy. So what was it, the WBA or the WBC? I think it was a WBA. Betfanuel says Benavidez versus Smith sounds nice, but it seems too easy. But it is what it is. No, Callum Smith could rumble, y'all. Let's not get it fucked up. He could rumble. If we looking at BoxRec right now, he only ever got stopped by Beterbiev. He lost to Canelo, but he didn't get stopped by Canelo. You know what I'm saying? This is a big dude. What it say? 6'3" with a 78-inch reach, 6'6" reach. This is a good fight for him. He got the WBO in the room, so Anonymous was right. But okay. So he fought Canelo for the WBC vacant title. Wait, so Callum Smith never had the legit WBC title. He had the WBC silver. Then he got the WBC diamond. You see how the WBC be doing, bro? Oh, my God. This shit is disgusting. He fought for the WBC diamond, right? Then when Benavidez missed weight, they gave Canelo the opportunity to fight for the vacant title against Callum Smith. Now it's all coming back to me. Crazy. Y'all think Callum Smith a tune-up? Looks like Shakur and Cepeda is next. Listen, man. Look. Shakur Stevenson done been in purse biz and motherfuckers still didn't want to fight him. Y'all remember the Frank Martin situation? Y'all remember that? Did that fight come together? No, it didn't. So just because they in a purse, and I'll remain optimistic for the time being, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I think Oscar De La Hoya is doing everything he can to not put his fighter in position to fight Shakur. He didn't want Kid Austin fighting Shakur. He avoided Shakur when it came to Cepeda at all costs. Do y'all remember when De La Hoya was like, look at how badass my fighter is. William Cepeda is so badass that he's ranked in every sanctioning body in his division. We're not going to be forced to fight anybody. And they try to make it seem like they was the ones that was in control. Like, De La Hoya, shut the fuck up. Get off that pipe, my nigga. What is you talking about? Get off them lines, nigga. So, he's been doing everything in his power. So now he's like, oh, Shakur talking all that shit and he don't even want to fight. Y'all know that's bullshit. Yeah, Callum definitely ain't no tune-up. Niggas is crazy. Does Benavidez go back down and wait? Fuck no. Man, you know how good Benavidez probably felt after that extra 7 pounds he didn't have to cut? Ain't no way he going back down to 68. If he do, that'll be a fucking huge mistake. And Canelo would try to do some shit like that to him. Well, I'll fight you now. He let Benavidez get a few fights at 75. Well, I'll fight you now. Come down to 68. You want to fight for all the belts? And fuck around, put a rehydration clause on top of that. God damn. No stoppages at 175, but he got 2 ass whoopings at 175. He was fucking Vosdick up. Then he beat Morrell ass too. So who cares? What's his record at 175? 6 guy? What's his record? Who cares? He's winning. He's putting on exciting fights. So I find this so ironic. So this the thing, right? 2-0. Thank you. So this the thing. That diaper soggy as shit. But anyways, yeah, boxing is not all about stoppages, but this is the point I wanted to get into. When you box, you're boring, right? You can't win. So Benavidez is one of the most exciting fighters in the sport of boxing. He whoop ass. He giving you what you look for. He not running. He rumbling niggas. But now that he rumbling niggas and beating their ass, now the criticism is he ain't got no knockouts at 75. It's crazy. He winning though. He beat some solid dudes. Vosdick, bro. Like I said, I helped out. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say we. Our team helped out Vosdick to get ready for Beterbiev, and he had some success against Beterbiev. I just think that pressure was just a little bit too much for him. He didn't have nothing to really keep Beterbiev up off him. But regardless, I was well aware of who Vosdick was. So when I heard that Benavidez was fighting him, I said, yo, this could be a tough draw and Benavidez get a little out of pocket. And it was tough, but Benavidez won clearly. Fight of the year so far? What y'all think, y'all? What y'all think, y'all? No, Six God. I didn't cover the Big Baby Miller press conference. I did see that. That shit was kind of crazy. But you already know what type time Gerald Miller be on at them press conferences. He turned into a different motherfucker, bro. It's easy. Benavidez Morel, really? That's fucking lit. That's what's up. I'm looking forward to Boost Stanionis, man. I think Boost is gonna outclass him though. I don't think Boost is gonna give like a Karen or a David Evanesia performance. I think there's gonna be a master class of boxing that's gonna end in a knockout. I think he's gonna knock Stanionis out in about round 7, round 8. Nah, as a matter of fact, I ain't even gonna disrespect Stanionis like that. I'm gonna give it 10. I think Stanionis is gonna be ready to go by round 10. Yeah, I mean, I think that accumulation gonna break him down. I think he's gonna get him up out of there. But I'm really looking forward to Boost performance, man. From what I've heard, like people that's been around him, shitty sharp, focused, ready to go, motivated. So Stanionis, man, if he can't be effective against Boots with his pressure, his strength, his offense, he's gonna be in trouble, man. If only he didn't test positive. I like Miller. Miller's a funny motherfucker, bro, and he got a lot of charisma about him. He got a lot of confidence. You know what I'm saying? But the drug testing shit did fuck up my perception of Gerald Miller. You know what I'm saying? But look, man, he done got stopped since then. I thought he got robbed against Andy Ruiz. I thought he beat him clearly. He was training in Philly for that fight. I wonder if he's still with Bosey or what. But considering the fact that Bosey don't like to fly, he don't really fuck with airplanes, I doubt it. He said he want to kill Fabio. Well, apparently on that diss track, Fabio said he was a big baby killer or some shit like that. And he didn't like that because where he from, that's a death threat or whatever case. So I thought listen, I'm from the hood too. I think Gerald Miller was being a little bit, extra dramatic. But that was exciting, bro. I mean, what can I say? He slapped Wardley and shit like that, or at least put some type of hands on him. Frank Warren was like, oh, come on. And he was like, Jim Miller was like, suck my dick. Oh, I don't care. I'm sick of everything. I'm like, what the fuck? Where is he from? I think he's from he from Brooklyn. And apparently I was hearing that Fabio is from New York too or some shit. I don't fucking know. Fabio a weird looking motherfucker though. Like he like an evil ass baby. Hairline, he got like the rock hairline and shit all the way up here. I don't know. Fabio's a weird looking nigga, man. Like he look like some shit off. He look like he could play a character off like Despicable Me or some shit. Nah, not that Fabio. I said Fabio Wardley. What you think I was saying? Like Fabio Foreign, not the rapper, nigga. Marissa says, I still can't believe the news between Bivol and Benavidez. Well, I was pretty 50-50 about it. I thought, I it was only two possible scenarios. But based off of what, Turki Alalshikh said, giving Bivol that ultimatum, and then Bivol coming out shortly afterwards saying that, he's going to trust, like, he believes in his team and tag Turkey and shit like that. I was already under the impression that he was just going to follow Turkey lead. You feel me? So I wasn't completely shocked by it. Disappointed slightly, but understanding at the same time. You feel me? Motherfucker from the UK. Yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. But that really pissed Gerald Miller off too. When they say he was from Brooklyn, he was like, man, cut me my check, man. He ain't from fucking Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. Don't disrespect me. I'm like, damn, no, like Gerald Miller was in his bag. He was screaming to the top of his lungs too. He's like, you soft. You soft. I was like, damn, dog. Like, them roids kicking in, my brother. Like, what is we doing? And why motherfuckers always aggressive? For sure. Gerald Miller got a great engine, good pressure. He's active. So that could be a problem for Fabio, but Fabio could fucking crack. So I don't know if Gerald could stand up to that type of power for too long. You know what I'm saying? And Gerald do get hit. You know what I'm saying? And it almost seems like he don't mind getting hit, but I don't think Fabio is the one to be getting hit by, consistently throughout a 10 to 12 round fight. You feel me? I seen him put that dent in Clark's head. I was like, oh yeah, he cracking for real. He said, and why motherfuckers always aggressive. They women be too. The New York women be sounding like niggas. As soon as I hear a New York woman say "word to mother, son," I'm, oh yeah, you cook. You gotta go. You dead ass B? Yeah, I'm dead ass. Get the fuck out of my face. Out your fucking mind. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't deal with no women that sound like niggas, man. Like, bitch, why you sound like my best friend? Like, you sound like my nigga Justin and shit. Like, nah, you cook, shawty. Like, go ahead. Go about your business. You jacking me? I don't mind. Let's not get it misconstrued. I don't mind a little accent or, some New York lingo. But when you start sounding like a nigga, bro, or you like, yo, dead ass word to my mother, like on my dead and all that. Oh yeah, you tripping? I think some of the New York lingo be cool though. I fuck with, like, when Reed be talking and shit, he be saying some cool shit. I be peeping Philly be taking New York lingo sometimes too, like my heart. I had a nigga text me today. He lucky he my family. He said, what the fuck? What he text me? He said, what he said, I think he DM me on Instagram. I'm about to tell you right now. This little nigga said, This nigga crazy. So he's supposed to come to the gym today, right? Well, he did come to the gym, but he texted me. He was like, "Today, right, my heart." Like, what? I wrote, "What?" And he wrote, "I just called you. We training hard today, my cuz." Why you keep my cuz? Like, why you keep saying that shit like I belong to you or something? Fuck you mean my heart? I don't like that. That shit kind of weird to me, cuz I don't need a nigga calling me my heart. What's some shit like my girl should be saying? Allergies cooking me right now. What the fuck? This nigga said, damn, anyone got a hack for a fish bone that's stuck in your throat? One stuck in my throat. Now that's crazy. Ain't nobody hit this nigga with the paws? Yeah, New York's that's the thing about New York lingo too. It's constantly changing. You feel me? So it's hard to keep up with. They always say some what the one dude, some nigga told me I was I don't know if he was talking to me. He said that you a day room ass nigga or some shit like that. I was like, day room. So what the fuck is that? I had to Google that. And then right here it says day room refers to someone who is basic, uninteresting, or switches up or acts fake. I was like, damn, I'm a day room ass nigga. God damn. I just want to know why teeth swallowing fish bones though. Like, why you swallow the bone? That's what niggas get into. I don't eat seafood, but yeah, a nigga said I'm mad day room or some shit like that. I was like, what? I was so confused. Like, but yeah, man. He definitely was hungry. That's crazy. Like, you know that fish bone was in your mouth before you swallowed it. Pause. So I don't even know why you let it go that far. You shouldn't be eating bones in no way. You shouldn't be eating bones, period. Like on any animal. You should not be eating bones, cuz. I don't know what be wrong with y'all. That's 22 cent pause. That ass. Yeah, I don't eat seafood, bro. I'm like the only person around me that don't eat it. My girl eats seafood. My dad, my mom, my stepdad, everybody. I'm the only one that don't. Nah, Marissa, I don't. It said read Marissa's comments. I don't see it. Yeah, I eat steak. I fuck with steak. What did Marissa say? Is this it right here? Did you see the clip of Danny Garcia saying he almost quit boxing right before he became champion? No, I didn't. I never even heard of that story, so that's interesting. I gotta look into that. But listen, man, the come up, y'all gotta understand, man, the process of becoming champion in boxing is extremely difficult, bro. And I could guarantee I didn't even hear why Danny said that, but I could almost know exactly why he almost quit before becoming champion. And that's because you're not really making no, bro. If you're not no high caliber fighter or like, like a big name, he was about to be a firefighter. You know why? You know why he probably was going to do that? Because there's some more security in being a firefighter than it is being a boxer. You feel what I'm saying? With firefighters, they get paid well. You know what I'm saying? Insurance, the benefits is out this world. Overtime, 401k plans, all that. There's more security in that. With boxing, speaking of them dumbass motherfuckers, they must have heard me. But in boxing, you don't really have no type of security. You got motherfuckers. I mean, you got promoters lowballing you, not paying you well. You know what I'm saying? So I can see it's difficult, bro. Like if you're not at the top of the boxing game, it's very difficult to maneuver through, man. You got to have a great team. You got to have some sponsors that believe in you. Like you got to have a great support system. Yeah, bro. I live right next to a firehouse. They always be out there. You know what's crazy? I'm gonna tell y'all something. So I was at my grandparents' house, right? And my aunt got this new boyfriend. She older. He an older dude. How old you think he was, babe? Like in his 50s? The dude that my aunt was with, the new dude I was telling you, he gotta be in his 50s. Well, anyways, older dude. So she was like, yeah, he a firefighter. So you already know what go through my head when I hear a fighter fires. I'm like, man, I don't like y'all. You feel what I'm saying? And I had brought up a moment. I said, if y'all ever listen to the channel, I said the first time that I really grew to despise firefighters was when they wrecked my gym, right? So it's crazy how this shit come full circle. My aunt come up to me like, yeah, I think his name was like Rich or something. Yeah, Rich, a firefighter. You know, he was in the gym when it went on fire that one year. I was like, what? I said, what? I looked over at him. He was like, yeah, man, I was there. I said, you was there putting out the fires? He was like, yeah. And I was gonna say something. I was like, nah, I ain't gonna do that. I was gonna say, wasn't your punk ass? Was you one of them bitch ass niggas that broke all them windows that I had to clean up? Bro, I had big ass industrial vacuums filled with glass, filling them in trash bags and throwing them outside. Had like 5 people with me. Took me like 2 days to get every speck of glass off that floor. When it wasn't even no smoke on the second floor, they just did it just because, bro. All the fire was downstairs. The second floor, it just smelled like smoke. There was no smoke that went upstairs. And I said, oh, so you wanted to, I wanted to say, oh, so you one of them punk motherfuckers who broke all the glass in my gym. You know what I'm saying? And I must have just missed them because I was up on the second floor with the firefighters. I was up there with the firefighters, bro. My dad didn't want to go up the steps. He's like, man, I don't even want to see the gym. I said, I'm going to go see it. Drove over, went up there, went right up the steps, right behind the firefighters. I was like, ain't nothing wrong with the gym. Just glass everywhere. There wasn't a trace of fire, bro. They just destroyed our shit. And that shit, ever since then, bro, I've been hot about that. But anyways, it was just funny how that all came around. Now my aunt's dating a dude who helped destroy my boxing gym. Do firefighters have insurance that pays when they damage people's property? I don't believe so, but thankfully we had insurance on the building. There was insurance on the building, thank God. Yeah, G-Bo, they was practicing. Motherfuckers. But all right, y'all, I'm gonna get up out of here in the sense of making this. Go back to building this desk with the wifey, man. I hope everybody has a blessed, beautiful night. We had a great conversation, man. If y'all, I didn't even get to talk about this. Go check out the Rolly Romero interview that I had just did on the channel yesterday, man. It was a pretty entertaining, funny interview and stuff like that, man. Go check it out. It's getting some good views, though, so I'm happy about that. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to Marky Dan. Shout out to the nation. Shout out to the mob. If y'all new, please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the likes. Share the video. Let's get the algorithm on the up so that people know who Mazuma TV is. They pretty much know who I am, but they trying to avoid me. You know what I'm saying? They should be scared. I think they scared of me. Like J. Cole said, I think they scared of me, and they should be. You feel me? Until then, this is Mazuma TV. Y'all have a blessed, beautiful night. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.